What's up, my dudes? Top 5 MX Simulator tracks number 2 updated. So, some of you real old school Spencer Turley fans might remember way back in the day, like 2 or 3 years ago, I made a top 5 MX Simulator track video. It was classic, dude, legendary. One of my bigger videos that I had at the very beginning. And I think it's only right for me to come in here and basically make a updated version of it because there's been so many more tracks came out for this game. There's been so much more kind of advancements with the game and stuff. So those top 5 tracks back then are not going to be the same top 5 tracks in my opinion nowadays, right? So then I kind of keep updating it as the years goes on, and I have to continue to make more of these top 5 MX Simulator track videos because it changes over time, right? So either way, let's get her started, boy. Number 5. Okay, dudes, so coming in at number 5, we have the Maressa MX Parker Brasil track. So this was actually my number 1 track on my first top 5 list video, and it's now been bumped all the way down to the number 5 slot here. So one thing I have to really get in here and explain at the very beginning before some of you guys freak out and say, dude, I know so many tracks that are way better than that track, or your top 5 track or your top 4 track or whatever. I know so many tracks that are so much better. Listen, I'm not disagreeing with you, okay? Because I would say the 5th track, which is this one right here on my list, and the number 4 track, those literally could be interchangeable with about another 200 tracks in this game. Like, I'm not joking around when I say that. There is so many tracks out there that could have made my top 4 and top 5 number on my list. I say it gets a little bit more like one of a kind, one way when you talk about like my number 1 track on my list, my number 2 track on my list, and number 3 track on my list. I don't really think those in my mind could be any other tracks than what they are, you know what I'm saying? But my number 5 and my number 4 and number 5 one on my list here could literally be like 200 different tracks. I mean, you can interchange them, they can just about be any of them. So it's really hard to make a top 5 list in that sense because there's just so many different tracks, so many different designs, so many different biome vibes, so many different stuff going on with everything that it's really hard to pinpoint like a true top 5 list. That's pretty much impossible. I really need to come in here and make like a top 50 list. But, I have to still come in here and try to put it together. You know what I'm saying? So yes, there are certainly some tracks that are on the same level of this or better than this that's not even on this list. I get it, you know what I'm saying? But I still have to kind of put it together. And of course, there's a lot of personal, I love this tropical vibe, dude. I mean, it's one of the first tropical tracks I ever seen on MX Simulator right here, and I still think it's one of the best ones to this day. Now, is the on-track more basic, more flat tracking vibe, more kind of old school MX Simulator feel? Yes, but this track came out a while back as well. It was one of the first tracks that they had in this game. So that's one aspect of it that, you always have to keep in mind is like for its time, you kind of have to have a little bit of that into your overall opinion of it as well, I feel like. You can't just be like, well, I'm not going to put any of the old tracks on my list because they're old tracks and, we've advanced everything on MX Simulator. That's a little bit unfair, I feel like. But, certain tracks are timeless. Certain tracks, can kind of stand that test of time when it comes to overall of the advancements of the bikes with the updates and the getting faster bikes and going through all the different changes of the game. You can still go back and play those older tracks and they're still a crap load of fun, and this is one of them right here. Not only the on-track being fun and unique and different, but one of the best skyboxes I've ever seen in this game, one of the coolest tropical vibe design. This is what gave me so much inspiration for a lot of my tropical tracks at the beginning. And so this one just kind of holds a little special place in my heart, and I felt like it was number 1 on my original top 5 list, and now it's number 5 on my updated list. I felt like it was only right for me to at least put one of those tracks from my first list still on this top 5 list here, you know what I mean? So that's kind of what I was trying to do here, but, you can go back to that other top 5 list, and it had those tracks like Off-Season SX, freaking sick, dude. Like, just classic. Only old school MX Simulator dudes will know, you know what I'm saying? New kids won't understand, right? Like, there's so many classic, amazing tracks from back in the day that were just so much fun. But what I'm trying to get at is literally you could interchange my top 4 and 5 on this list with like 100 to 200 other tracks out there, and I wouldn't even disagree with you. You know what I'm saying? So I just wanted to make that crystal clear there. But but this is the only track that's actually from my other list. So once we get to some of these other tracks, we'll be going to completely different tracks that I've never put on a top 5 list before. So I think I got a pretty good list, especially number 1, number 2, and number 3. I don't even hardly think those are all that much interchangeable in the sense of like, I don't look at the top 1, 2, and 3 on my list and go, you know what, I think this other track could have been higher than that track, or like I don't even really look at it like that. You understand what I'm saying? Those are like set in stone, 1, 2, 3. But the 4 and 5 on this list, there a lot of tracks can kind of fit into that sort of rating area, you know what I mean, or kind of how I look at the track. So, number 4. Riesenberg, the Iron Giant, coming in at number 4 on the list. So this may shock some people right here that I would even put this on my top 5 list because it's such a new track. And I mean, I could certainly see where a lot of people would put a lot of other tracks ahead of this or in place of this, you understand what I'm saying? And it definitely can be interchanged. This one and that Maressa MX Parker Brasil, those are very like personal picks in a sense. Like, I certainly think there is a plethora of other tracks you could put ahead of them. Hell, you could have put that old Off-Season SX track in front of both of these, and I wouldn't really disagree with you. You know what I'm saying? There's a lot of other ones out there that you could put ahead of these two. But the reason why I put this on my number 4 list right here, whereas that MX Maressa Parker Brasil track, right, that one just had a lot of personal, like, that was a very personal track that I loved for, you know, my own like reasons. And when I first got into MX Sim and the inspiration it gave me, and I was kind of making a lot of tropical vibe tracks at the beginning. So there's a lot of little personal things that goes into my top 5 track rating. But this one in particular, this one just blew my mind on the overall length of the track, scale, scope, size of everything, just everything about it. You know, it really impressed me what this dude had going on with this puppy right here. Now, is it the most amazing trail viber exactly like the real life replica track that you guys have seen the helmet cam and stuff on? Obviously not. It's not exact. It's far off in a lot of ways, but it was just very cool to actually see a full-blown enduro like this and it actually work in MX Simulator. This is one of the first times I've ever seen like a full-blown 30-40 minute long enduro raceable track on MX Sim, you know what I mean? So that's why I just had to put it on this list. More for there's certainly a lot of other tracks that have you know, better off tracks, better on tracks, more actually balanced, better design tracks. There's certainly way more of them out there with completely better stuff in every way than this track, but this track just gave me a certain, I don't know, dude, like a certain feeling to it where it was just like, wow. I mean, there's just nothing else to say to it. When you actually get on this track, it's just like, wow. I mean, you're going through the hills for literally like 10, 15 minutes over here. Then you get to this whole woods section, right? And like I say, I certainly think there's been better, like, individual trail tracks made as far as the on tracks and stuff, but you got to look at the full scope, scale, what this does for MX Simulator as a whole, you know, what this track does as, like, in a broader scale sense of, like, opening up possibilities, the way he's got that skybox there with all the mountains in the background, how much terrain and how long of a track he was able to make here, how much different objects he was able to put on one track. And I think it's a very rideable, raceable track, you know what I mean? It's not too difficult. It's not, like, kind of ridiculous hard. I know there was that other Riesenberg kind of replica style track they tried to make in this game a couple years back, and it was nowhere near to the level of this one, in my opinion. So this one's just cool in the sense of just like what it's doing for the game and kind of how it's overall pushing the game, like what the possibilities are and what the full-blown true, super long enduro hair scrambly style tracks you can make in this game. There are a couple of little bit more tricky sections, don't get me wrong, dog. I mean, you're going to get frustrated as hell on this track, but that's kind of part of a trail enduro track. It's not like fantasy hard, you know what I mean? It's not like you're having to literally like slow all the way down and then turn. I mean, there are some areas where you kind of got to do a little bit of that, but you got to understand what I'm saying. There's some tracks on MX Sim that are literally like Pastrana and a half difficulty, you know what I mean? They're not even like realistic at all difficulty wise. A lot of those like thread the needle tracks and super hard SX, whatever the hell those kind of tracks are, they're like on a whole nother level of difficulty, and it kind of breaks the realism a little bit. But this track keeps all that, right? And he's still, like I said, still had a couple areas where he's got the kind of in the woods trees, some cool log, rock cross sections. But you just really, the cool thing about it is, like, if any of you guys have rode enduro hair scramble riding in real life, trail racing in real life, and you've actually done the full-blown, like, races of that before, you realize it's more of a mental strain, you know what I mean? Because you're just constantly sitting there going through the woods, going through the trees for literally hours, it feels like. And, sometimes that's how long they are, multiple hour-long races. You got to stop in between the race to fill up the gas tank, you know what I'm saying? So you enduro dudes know exactly what I'm talking about. But the cool thing that he has captured here with this track is when you actually run a full lap on this puppy, you get a lot of those same exact feelings that you would get from real-life enduro hair scramble riding. You understand what I'm saying? You get a lot of that real-life, like, mental strain and feeling like, oh my God, is this lap ever going to end? Is this track ever going to end? You kind of get that. It's enduro. You got to have like that endurance vibe type thing. You understand what I'm saying? So when you're actually riding on this track, this captures every bit of that. Of course, it doesn't really capture the whole bouncing off the collidable trees. There's certainly some complaints you can have with it. Got a couple cool little mud section stuff, but just in an overall sense, I certainly think it belongs here on my list, just because of, like I say, that overall impact. And a lot of people don't come in here and make these trail enduro tracks on MX Sim. It's almost like a lost cause. A lot of people don't even make custom tracks like this. So just for him to come in here and spend this much time, dedicate this much time to it, had to put it on the list, dog. Just had to. So number 3. Okay, dude, so coming in at number 3 on the podium, we've got the 2015 James Stewart replica track right here, compound, right? So this has got the outdoor national track on it and the 2 supercross tracks, right? This track to me is literally the definition of timeless as far as a custom track on MX Simulator. I can come back and ride on this thing, and it was from all the way back in 2015-16, right? And I can still come back and have so much fun on it, man. Just the way he's done all of the different decal work, the multiple different sand decals he's got, and then the clay, and then you just feel like you could just ride on this track forever. When you combine the supercross tracks, I mean, I had so much fun with some of the fans that I had just randomly invited in there to ride with me a little while back. Shout out to some of you dudes, but we'd just hop on the James Stewart compound on 125s and go race for fun, or like go see if we could hit some cool triple out of a corner on one of the supercross tracks. I don't know. There's just something about this compound that keeps me coming back for more and more, man. And then obviously went in there and did a lot of you guys remember my 125 wide open video I did on this. That was a legendary video from back in the day that I did. Did a 450 freaking crazy video where I did a literal James Stewart scrub over this jump coming up right up here, where I like literally dragged the handlebars on it. It was so sick, dog. One of the best tracks for practicing whips. A lot of huge, big tabletop-y style jumps. I mean, I don't see how you could get much better of an actual James Stewart compound on MX Simulator. It's literally like if you had you have a James Stewart compound in MX vs. ATV Alive. Well, it's like that's been brought to MX Simulator in an MX Simulator version of it. You know what I'm saying? So that's pretty much just like what it is it's a full-blown James Stewart compound all the way true on MX Simulator. That's exactly what this is. So traction feels great. Jump distance is perfect. overall skill gap, perfect. Just enough roughness in some of the corners. Getting a little gnarly right here. So let me actually get on some of the other tracks of it, and we'll see. Let's see here real quick. Not that one. This one, maybe? Definitely not that one. Sorry, guys. Let's see. Yeah, here we go. So I'll get over here to this little Supercross track. Holy God, I was hitting some transfers, bro. Call me Kevin Windham. So, yeah. God, I miss those two, dude. The Windham transfers. And you guys see that Windham skimming across the water on that recent video? Good God, bro. Dude is a legend. So either way, so yeah, and then on top of that, not mentioning how cool the motocross, just the overall scaling and like distance from corner to straightaway to jump face to corner, everything just feels right. You know how you get on a lot of those tracks, they feel kind of cramped down, or the jumps feel a little smaller than they would in real life, or they try to get them way too one-to-one scale. I feel like this is perfect amount of fun factor, perfect amount of skill to it. You know what I'm saying? That's a pretty difficult jump right there. Big old quad you can hit coming into that on the Supercross track. Amazing skybox, perfectly fits this track right here. So yeah, I mean, it's literally that perfect James Stewart compound for MX Simulator, and this track can live on and on and on. You can even ride with the road on this track, and it works pretty well. And it was made way before they started really putting the road in the game, you know what I'm saying? But awesome skill gap on both the Supercross tracks, can be a lot of fun. And they look completely different than the motocross tracks, especially this red clay one. So it really gives you that sort of diverse variation filling within the whole compound, you know what I'm saying? It's got these really cool trees all over the track, different types of trees. Got the lights up on the track, just everything about it, guys. It's just fun, like fun in every way. He's got just enough. I mean, he really had to think long and hard about how he was going to do the roughness on the actual motocross portion of this, and I feel like he just nailed it, dude. Like, it gives you just enough of that balance of, like, if you start really, really hammering it up to a corner, or really, really hammering it through a certain section, it scares you, you know what I'm saying? And that's what it should do. It doesn't just feel like you're wide open on the gas everywhere. I mean, you got to be a hoss and a half to do that on the national track of this. You got to be an absolute hoss, and it literally gave me the feeling, especially when I was riding on this Suzuki on the 450 on the national track of this, it literally gave me the feeling like I was James Stewart riding on James Stewart's compound when I did that scrub over there and just like wide open through the corners, and it literally gave me this, like, I don't know, weird kind of deja vu sort of flashbacky, like, realism connection thing that I had going on, where I actually was literally getting the feeling like, wow, this is what James Stewart feels when he's riding on his real life compound back in the day. You know what I mean? It's like, it's that accurate that it can give you those direct correlation connection feelings with it, and I can't explain how hard that is to do on a replica custom track on MX Simulator. It's almost impossible. But this guy nailed it. So that's why this track is so amazing. And, it's got the cool grass billboard, really bright green grass billboard, gives it that lush Florida vibe. You really feel like you're in that real place, captures all that. Number 2. So coming in at number 2, we have the Nicolas Sandbox National. Oh, what a dandy one right here, boys. This was way, way back in the day. Had a lot of history. I actually ended up getting this track early back in the day from the creator himself. So that was really cool. This was, and you guys kind of see what I'm doing now, right? Okay, we've got number 1 and number 2, and I'm working into the Nicolas Sandbox tracks, right? So you can kind of, use your imagination a little bit on what the next one's going to be, right? So I apologize. That's actually looking a little bit weird. Sometimes it does that where it kind of, because this track is so hardcore graphical, kind of looks like snow. Let me close out the game real quick and come back into it. It should load it in properly. Give me just a second, guys. Okay, sorry about that. Sometimes you have to kind of restart your game with these super high detailed tracks like that, and it'll load in properly for you. But yeah, so these tracks actually these Nicolas Sandbox tracks started coming out and coming around right around the time I'd made that first top 5 tracks of MX Simulator video, and I almost put them in that top 5 list, but I felt kind of bad because these were just going to blow all of those other tracks out of the water back then. It was like I felt like I couldn't even give any of the other tracks a chance, and this was like a whole different level. But now I'm giving these tracks the credit and the support that they deserve, because these are certainly MX Simulator 2 level, full worthiness. Just, I never thought I'd ever see something like this on MX Simulator. And to think that these actually came out 2 or 3 years ago is pretty incredible. But these Nicolas Sandbox guys, they definitely did something here. I mean, this is, like, if you know MX Simulator and you know what's capable, and then you come in here and see something like this, it's mind-blowing, man. I mean, it really is. And these are the kind of tracks that if I'm talking to somebody that's like played MX Simulator and says, oh, dude, those graphics suck, or they don't really know MX Sim, these are some of the first tracks I will ever show somebody, just to show them what's capable, you know what I mean? Because this is literally night and day difference between like a stock MX Simulator track, graphically for sure, but it's not only graphically, so that's the crazy part about it. It's not only graphically and sort of the placement of the objects and all that, but it's also the filling of the track, because it's actually 3D scanned of a real life sandbox track. You understand what I'm saying? So it's got this whole nother level of on-track filling. This is a perfect example of how you can make awesome micro pre-made ruts and realistic pre-made ruts that have a very differing filling, and how you can decal that and make it look super realistic. This is just, I mean, 11 out of 10, legendary. I don't know what else to say about it, but this comes in number 2 on my list right here. And look at this. I mean, I just cannot get over, like, the way he's got this whole thing set up where he's got multiple little mossy things on top of the water, like all the big cottontail style stuff around the water. I mean, you got to understand, this is not easy to make stuff like this on MX Sim. Typically, you've got like little grass billboards like this and then just a water pond. You don't have all of this extra detail and extra stuff put on it like this. And typically the off track may have like 1 or 2 different kind of trees, not like literally small bush, medium-sized bush, 3 different types of bushes, 3 different types of grass, giving you the multiple. See, he's got like a darker brown grass and a darker green grass, and then another kind of grass billboard. Then you get to the bigger, taller trees. He's got multiple different types of those, all layered and put together into a fully seamless realism effect level to it. He's got all these other custom, he's got this kind of wood like fence barrier objects around the track, gives it another little layer like that. Just full-blown different decals everywhere, and especially on the track. You can kind of, even in the individual pre-made ruts, you can see there's actually a different decal right in that spot, where typically it's not like that on most of your custom tracks on MX Sim. Typically it's just one decal, one PNG image copied over and over and over a rut, and it doesn't really look like this, you know what I mean? But the way he's done this, where it's overlaid on top of what that real life actual dug down in the sandbox track was, it just creates this whole nother level of actual graphical look to everything and feel on everything. This is certainly that next level. I cannot believe, RF and the pro guys in JLV hasn't like created more from this or tried to produce more from this, and really use more of these techniques, because this is the ticket when it comes to making that next level MX Simulator track, that more modern, you just start to see what's capable. He's even got this whole little particle effect thing like that you see around the track. You might not be able to see that on YouTube very well, but he's got these little particle effects kind of floating in the air. Just the level of detail, tenfold what damn near any other MX Simulator track is. So that's why this comes in number 2 on my list. And get ready, boys, for number 1. You probably already guessed it. Number 1, Nicolas Sandbox Supercross. this is it, boys. This is my number one on the list. So, like I said, this Nicolas Sandbox Supercross being number one, the Nicolas Sandbox National being number two, and the James Stewart Compound being number three. Those are pretty solid on my list, dog. Like, I couldn't hardly put any other tracks in place of those. Those are just kind of set in stone, but obviously the 4 and the 5 could be interchanged with a lot of other tracks out there. But no, I'm not putting this number one on my list just because there is a Spencer Turley YouTube actual tough block on it. I sponsored this track back in the day. Me and these dudes kind of had a little bit of a connection. We'd worked together before. So actually, that's a really cool thing that I was able to get my tough block on this track, because there's so many people that have played this track since then. It's just a cool, I don't know, like I've got a little piece of me in this track, so that was so awesome to be able to see that from back in the day. But this has got all the same cool next level stuff that Nicolas Sandbox National track had on it, but just in a Supercross version, right? In the stadium, oh God, it just matches that next level MX Simulator 2 looking. Like, this is what I would think the kind of the stadium vibe and the graphical effect and the particle effects and all that and the decal work. This is what I would be thinking. This is where I think we would be at in RF at this point, right? This is what I would think we would be like in that RF progression. You know how different the tracks looked back in 2013 Supercross tracks, and how much better they looked like in 2017, like as far as graphical and all that kind of stuff. Well, this is where I think we would be at this point in RF, even though that's actually not the case at all. I think they would have these way more realistic stadiums, or at least figure out how to make more like this. I don't even know how to explain it. It's just it's like a whole different resolution quality on everything. You know what I mean? And it's insane that you can even do that, because a lot of people don't even realize that you can make tracks like this on MX Simulator. So Nicolas Sandbox literally was doing the impossible with these tracks. Like, I never would have thought I would have ever rode on a Supercross track like this on MX Sim. And he's got every aspect to it. And believe it or not, me and him actually talked this track over before it came out. I beta tested it for him, and I kind of told him a couple of sections he needed to change and stuff, and he actually did do that before he released it. So just letting some of you guys know, on some of these sections, I did actually have some input on them, so that was kind of cool, because it's such a legendary track, you know what I mean? And to be able to have my tough block on it and know that I had an input on it and all these different things, just so badass, man. Like, I don't know any other way to explain it, but very cool, dude. Skill gap, exactly where it needs to be. Like, I remember this triple right here. I think beforehand he had it a little bit too, it might have been a little bit too close to you and a little bit too short. Like, it was a little bit, you felt like you were over jumping it. And that was one spot I was like, dude, you need to make that triple a little further out and a little bit bigger landing, so you have a little bit more there. And he did actually end up changing that, so that was cool. Awesome section where you can kind of, if you rail that corner through that rut right there. Perfect example of how you can make a Supercross with pre-made ruts on it. This is it right here, And he could have put more on it, and it would have been even cool from that as well. But you can really get into that rut hard and rail it and jump plumb over that tabletop, and now you're hitting like this massive line through here. Really cool how you can like side jump through this and do a triple. Definitely going to get some time cut off right there, boys. My lap time is not going to count on the RF website. Oh, shit. So, yeah, but you can kind of like jump and square your way around the track. Nice little inside rut right here. And just, it's got that like where you never feel like the terrain is perfectly flat, And Nicolas Sandbox has done this better than anybody else I've ever seen in this game. Nothing feels like flat to the point of fake, or no jump face feels perfectly smooth to the point of fake. You know what I mean? Everything has at least a slight little bit of change of terrain, like a little bit of a kicker, a little bit of a roughness, a little bit of a like a divot down in the ground, a little bit of a warp in the corner or the terrain or the rut or the whatever. It's constantly changing over the entire track. So it just gives it this next level of real filling to it, right? And right here, it's kind of got like that smoky effect through here. It gives it a really, really cool vibe. Multiple rut lines through here. Like, come on now. You're telling me you can't have a Supercross track with pre-made ruts that's going to give you multiple lines? Give me a fucking break, dog. Whatever the hell y'all are doing with the road is not even close to how badass this is. Not even close. and you've got these super realistic decals. You don't have to have those Play-Doh 1994 looking decals like they have to have with the road. You know what I mean? And you could even have a little bit of a road on this track, and it would make it kind of cool. Have like a, you know, like a 5 or 10% of road on it, and it'd make it a pretty nice experience, I feel like. But yeah, just next level stadium. That stadium, dude, adds 2 points alone to this track right here, you know? And then just, it's like the overall realism, every aspect of it, the on-track, the off-track stadium, the particle effects, the decal realism, the jump face kicker realism, the rut realism, the skill gap jump realism. It's like everything comes together to just give you that, you know, MX Simulator 2 experience, you know, that next level, truly next level experience of it. And a lot of it comes from that actual 3D scanning of the tracks, you know what I'm saying? So, either way, go donate to Nicolas. I want to see more of these tracks, man. Go donate to him. All you got to do is go look up any of these tracks on the forums or any of that, and his donation link will be there. I definitely highly recommend it. That was one of the biggest reasons why I hit him up, and I actually ended up paying him to put my tough block on this track. I was like, dude, I have to support this in some kind of way. So I gave him some money to just simply put my logo on a couple of these tough blocks. And so that is my current top 5 list on MXM. It could change tomorrow, dude. It just depends on who makes what, you know. And I'll probably make multiple more of these top 5 lists in the future. And it's just going to update over time, man. That's kind of how it works at this game. So either way, just really wanted to come in here and make a special video on this. Shout out to Nicolas and everything that he did back in the day. That was so cool, dude. I'll never forget what you did for this game. And you know, I hope to see more in the future. I know it's not easy to have the whole 3D scanning thing, but man, RF and JLV should have literally hired you to do stuff for this game when you make this level of tracks in here like this. I mean, literally, I don't know why they didn't do that, because that would have been the ticket and a half for this game. This is the future of MX Simulator. There's no doubt about it. These Nicolas Sandbox tracks, way beyond what I could ever make in this game, and I'm not even trying to compete. Like, it's that amazing, and it's just so much more advanced than what they're currently doing on MX Simulator that it's like, it's laughable. It's like, how in the hell is this not what the pro racing is on? More like this, you know, and stuff like in the Nationals being more like the Nicolas Sandbox National track. I just cannot believe it's not more like that. So either way, that's what I think you deserve, Nicolas, but that's just me, you know what I'm saying? So either way, appreciate you guys watching all the videos. Definitely let me know down in the comments what your guys' top 5 MX Simulator track list is, and I definitely like to check that out. So either way, I appreciate all the support, guys. It's a fun little kind of throwback to that older top 5 video. It's been a legacy and a half, man. It's been a lot of videos, a lot of fun, a lot of crazy times, a lot of cool times, a lot of fans, a lot of people I've met doing this, and I wouldn't trade it for anything, man. And I'm going to keep on doing it. So, yeah, appreciate all the support over all the years, all the donations from everybody, all the likes, all the views. Man, it's crazy when you really like take a step back and look at everything that's happened, and it's just cool to go back and make a fun video like this. So either way, later, my dudes.